Hello again. Welcome back. This is Satan's Trilogy, Book 1, and this will be reading 45. I'm the author and the narrator. Please relax while I tell you the story. Let's get out of here, John said to his friends. We have just a few minutes before classes begin. Esther walked into the classroom with a minute to spare. Every girl in the class stood up and hugged Esther before she could reach her seat. Day and Raven, Chris, Eve, and Helen. They had formed a bond in less than a week, and of course, the only guy in their group, Chris. He gave Esther a morning hug too. Esther had regretted being late and not sharing in the morning talks, yet she was thrilled with how the morning confrontation had gone with W.O.W and his friends. Esther understood that certain forces in life lead to a certain direction, but nothing is written in stone. Without doubt, today and tomorrow are up for grabs, and yesterday is a memory that eventually will be forgotten, fading into the horizon. Day was last to welcome Esther. Are you still good for tonight? Day asked. Of course, sister. My aunt has a date and we'll be alone for most of the night. We can choose from dozens of things to do. Perhaps you would like to meet some of my friends. We can ride around town and even do some shopping. Esther smiled at Day, and she had plans to take her to Marco's and share her debit card with her. They could have a fantastic time trying on clothes. Mr. Gray entered the room as the bell rang. As usual, he removed his jacket and placed it on the coat rack. Looking a bit excited, he turned to the class and spoke. I have the results of yesterday's test, and amazingly, everyone received a perfect score. But even more amazing is the fact that each and every one of you caught the error that I placed into problem 6, and you corrected it without even asking me about it. In addition, I had purposely made the test difficult in order to see who would come out on top, the boys or the girls. Obviously, our little competition is going to be more challenging than I ever thought. Mr. Grade was smiling at the class, then added, as seniors, each and every one of you have shown heightened aptitude for mathematics, and so I wanted to enlighten you and hope reward you by bringing in a guest lecturer on Fridays to discuss one small avenue of mathematics. Today's lecturer is Dr. Robert Bates from this country's Homeland Security think tank. Dr. Bates' expertise is mathematical probabilities in world politics. Standing up from a chair at the front of the room, Dr. Bates walked to the front center of the room and stopped. A very slight man, rather short, maybe 5'1.5". He was very well dressed with a crisp, sharp looking gray suit and a gray bow tie on his shirt. He stood there for a moment, then patted down his jacket, looking for something. Eventually he pulled out a pair of eyeglasses. There were gold wire frames and made him look a bit like an accountant. Appearing to be more comfortable with himself, he glanced across the room, quickly thanked Mr. Grade for the introduction, and then spoke to the class. I hate wearing glasses. My wife keeps asking me to have the laser surgery to correct my vision. Did anyone here know that 1 in 600 laser surgeries actually do more harm to the eyes than good? And that 1 in 6,000 surgeries leaves the patient legally blind? So I would have to ask myself, why would I have an elective surgery that could leave me blind. Dr. Bates stopped and realized that he had strayed from his intended lecture. Smiling again at the class, he said, "Good morning to all of you. I am thrilled to be here." When Dr. Mason phoned me and asked if I could be interested in giving a 1-hour lecture to a group of mathematical geniuses, I responded with two statements. First, I said it was a mathematical improbability that the entire class could be rated so high, and secondly, I said I would be thrilled to address the students. Some of you may love numbers and the things that we can do with them. You are the students that can find a job using higher mathematics and love your job at the same time. I truly believe that it is important to love your work. My favorite adage is, if you love your job, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And that is how I see it. Trying to relax, Dr. Bates leaned on the teacher's desk. It quickly slid backwards, and the classroom laughed as Dr. Bates caught himself. "Well, that's either a very light desk or I need to lose some weight." He laughed at his own remarks as he climbed onto the top corner of the desk and continued his lecture. I have to believe that seniors are wondering, where are the good-paying jobs? Well, for those that accomplish graduate-level mathematics, the pay is usually $100,000 starting pay. Once you have a doctorate in math, the pay reaches upwards of $130,000. And of course, if you have 2 doctorates, like I do, then you can make over $200,000 a year. He looked about and decided to clarify what he had just said. So if you have 1 doctorate, you can find a job just about anywhere. And when you have 2 doctorates, the jobs will seek you out. I have been approached over a dozen times this year, and the year is obviously young. Dr. Bates managed to hold the attention of the class, but perhaps for the wrong reasons. He was amusing, he was somewhat comical, and he was sincere, but most of all, everyone sensed that he was genuine, and being real is what can hold a student's attention. 40 minutes later, the bell rang and everyone individually thanked Dr. Bates for coming, then went on to their next class. The general consensus was that Fridays would be a day no one would want to miss. Everyone was excited about what the next guest speaker would have to say and who that person might be. 6th hour had become the favorite for the girls. They had all quickly strengthened their lungs and stamina to the point that running the 2-mile challenge wasn't a challenge. They could now finish within the class period. Though they were exhausted, Ms. Strong had decided that this class held potentially the best runners in the state, and she wanted to challenge the girls, even reward them. When 6th hour rang, everyone was sitting on the bleachers as usual. Ms. Strong walked out with another person alongside of her. She looked very official and wore a woman's slack outfit that looked rather expensive. Class, I want to introduce to you Ms. Goodman. She is the president of the Illinois High School cross-country competition. I gave her the times that you girls are running during class, and she is impressed. I'll let her tell you what the class can do. Standing in front of the girls, Ms. Goodman seemed at ease. She glanced about the class and started to speak. Illinois has an open girls' invitational cross-country competition that allows the best in the state to compete. As I understand it, the girls in this class are fast runners. At a distance, I timed the class yesterday at even the last girl on your 2-mile run is worthy of state competition. If you girls want to represent your school at the state championship, then you are invited. This opportunity seldom comes so easily, but your teacher has been persistent and has hounded every state official that I know and probably some that I don't know in allowing Grant High School to bring 60 students. That number represents this entire class. If you choose to compete, it's an individual honor, and if you win some trophies, it's an honor to your school. If this class were to do extraordinarily well, you would all share something to tell your grandchildren about. Ms. Goodman stopped talking for a moment and looked over to Ms. Strong. I understand that your school has been blessed by an anonymous benefactor that has offered scholarships to anyone with a simple C average. That's really wonderful. But for those of you that want to show the world that Grant High School students can excel on their own, and that you are students worthy of such a gift, I suggest that this competition is that avenue. Ms. Goodman stopped for a second, caught her breath, and continued. In 5 months, the state of Illinois will have a state cross-country competition to identify the best in Illinois. I'll be there, cheering all competitors. If you choose to be there, I'll cheer for each and every one of you. Ms. Goodman walked closer to the bleachers and added, I'll not try to hide my bias. I love Grant High. I am a 1996 graduate from this school, and I would be thrilled if the girls showed the state we are champions. Ms. Goodman had lost control of herself and had shown real enthusiasm while making her presentation. She slowly cooled down in a matter of 2 or 3 seconds. Offering a final comment, Ms. Goodman looked at the girls and said, Some people think that the students at Grant High seldom succeed, that we are too weak to pull ourselves up from life's challenges. I say the time is ripe for showing the state and the country what Chicagoland Grant High School students can do. Ms. Goodman had ended her presentation and stood quietly in front of the students. The class was silent. No one moved. The gymnasium was still, and then Esther stood up from her seat on the bleachers and started to clap. Dave was sitting alongside Esther. She too stood up and applauded. Raven had been moved by Ms. Goodman's speech, but even more by Esther's willingness to stand and applaud Ms. Goodman. Raven stood up and joined Esther and Day in applauding Ms. Goodman. Soon the entire class were at their feet, applauding not only Ms. Goodman, but the opportunity to show thousands of people that they could compete with the best and hopefully come out on top. The fact that Ms. Strong had worked hard to achieve this opportunity for the students had not been missed. As Miss Goodman left the stadium with a large smile on her face, Ms. Strong returned to the front of the class. She was greeted by a round of applause. Holding up her hands, to quiet the class, Ms. Strong spoke to the girls. All right, we have 5 months to work and prepare for this competition. Ms. Strong was smiling as she could see the enthusiasm on the faces of the young girls. She then lost her composure. For a moment or two, Ms. Strong could not talk. A minute or two later, Ms. Strong spoke. Girls, I believe that each and every one of you can place in this competition. I believe in all of you and would like to see you win together. 6th hour takes it all. Ms. Strong had become excited. That means we either win as a team or we win really big as a team, because I know you girls are the best. We have 5 months to prepare. Starting today, give your running just a little more. As we grow stronger, we'll grow faster. Let's run 9 laps today and then back here to stretch your muscles before showering. Let's run now, Ms. Strong yelled at the girls, jumped up, and darted for the door. Ms. Goodman had taken little of the class time. Everyone knew they could easily be back long before the end of the class. Ms. Strong stood at the top of the hill, watching the girls run the track. The Gothic girls had come a long way. She had witnessed how Esther could encourage them to keep moving, and later Esther encouraged them to pace themselves faster. A competition within the class had developed, and everyone was trying to overtake the girls in black with little success. Everyone had managed to return to the stadium to stretch before going to the showers. Ms. Strong walked about encouraging everyone to stretch their leg muscles and to cool their bodies down. Do not take a cold shower, she told everyone. Warm or slightly warm is best for the muscles. With 15 minutes to go, Ms. Strong blew her whistle and loudly said, "Everyone did wonderful today. You are all on your way to an amazing achievement. Please keep the showers warm, not cold and not too hot. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all next week." Ms. Strong followed the class to the locker room. Esther went to her locker in row 6, where Amy had been waiting for her. "You know, Esther, we're all doing so well because of you. Almost everyone wanted to pass your friends on the track, and so they tried harder. I just wanted to keep up with you, but that hasn't happened yet." Esther smiled at Amy. She was standing naked at her locker and seemed exhausted. "Amy, close your eyes and open your mouth." Amy immediately did so because she knew Esther was someone she could trust. Esther placed a lifesaver in Amy's mouth. "Isn't that refreshing?" Esther said. "Open your eyes. I just placed a wintergreen lifesaver in your mouth. Can you sense how it helps you to breathe easier? Take one before you run, and you'll do better." Esther smiled at Amy, then commented, "We have to hurry. The bell will ring soon. You don't want to be late for the next class." Walking off to the showers, Amy quickly followed. Esther made it a habit to wash her hair, and Amy chose to study the dragon on Esther's back, while washing her own body with some of the liquid soap provided. Showering wasn't a drawn-out activity, but a rushed one. Within minutes, Esther and Amy came out of the shower and went straight to their lockers. Esther would be able to dress and leave the school since her last class was a study hall. Amy had art class in the last hour of the day and would have to be there in less than 10 minutes. Esther was dressed in no time at all and quickly said to Amy as she left the row of lockers, "Amy, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday." Esther smiled at Amy as she looked down the row of lockers for her close friends and sister. "Day," Esther said with a lot of enthusiasm, "you had a really good run today. You have grown very strong in such a short time. You will do well when we compete for the state championship." Esther gave Day a hug, then stood back as Day pulled up her jeans, black denim with a lot of embroidery work on the sides, black roses sewn with black silk thread, reached the full length of her right leg. It was subtle, but very defined and nicely done. The jeans were now one size too large. And yet, the jeans were difficult to pull up, and the fact that Day had not tried thoroughly was the cause. Finally, Day buttoned the top of her jeans and looked up at Esther. "Thanks, Esther. I can't believe that I am running so fast. It's baffling, just baffling. And these jeans, I love them. Wore them when I was a freshman. I never thought they would fit again. But look, aren't they great?" Dave was all smiles and didn't wait for Esther to answer. "Why don't I meet you at the parking lot after I get my things from my locker?" Dave said. "I'll be at my bike waiting for you," Esther said with a smile. She then turned to Eve, Helen, and Chris. "You three were right on Dave's tail," Esther said with enthusiasm. "Any one of you could have passed her had you just found that last bit of energy." They were all tired, but not to the extreme that they had shown at the start of the year. The three girls were too tired to make comments back to Esther, so she went on. "You are letting Day pace you, and that is good. Day is setting her pace to mine. Now in the final lap, maybe at the final turn, if you sprint, you can pass us. That's the way races are run, using strategy. Let someone else set the pace and keep your reserve for the final sprint." Raven was now at Esther's side. She had come around the lockers and joined them. "I have to be honest, though. Raven has kept up with us all, and I really believe that she hasn't even tried to do her best. If Raven decided to sprint, well, with her long legs, she might lead us all to the finish line." Raven smiled at Esther. "Thanks, Esther. It just seems that I have so much on my mind that I am content in just following everyone to the finish." Esther smiled at Raven. "You are meeting us at Noah's Diner after class, aren't you?" asked Esther with some concern. "Of course. Chris will give me a ride. I think that I'll have a burger or at least some fries. I am starved." Slamming their lockers shut and locking them, all of the girls took off as the bell rang. Esther went to her locker and grabbed her helmet, leaving her books in the locker. Reaching the students' parking lot, Esther found John and Cruz standing at their ninjas and talking. "Hey, John, you're a bit slow leaving, aren't you? I seldom see you guys at this time." Esther looked at John as she opened her backpack and pulled out her biker boots and started to change footwear. "Hi, Esther. We are thinking about what to do tonight. It's Friday and none of us have to work. We are thinking about a movie, but I kind of want to stay home and hit the books. After that, maybe I'll watch some television. With the scholarships, we all can do something with our lives after graduation, and I want it to be rewarding." John was watching Esther's response to his comments. "John, you never cease to amaze me. You make more sense every time I talk to you. That scholarship fund can send anyone and everyone to an education of upwards of $500,000. That is a ticket out of here and a bright future for any of us willing to use it." Esther had finished putting on her biker's boots, and Day had just arrived, holding her motorcycle helmet that Esther had given her. Esther pulled her helmet on, and Day jumped on the back of the Ninja. "You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday." Esther started her Ninja and immediately took off with her sister holding on tightly, with her arms wrapped around Esther's waist. John watched them ride off. Damn, that Esther can ride a bike. John's buddies, watching the two girls ride off from the parking lot on a Ninja, were thinking how attractive the two were, but since John had silently taken Esther under his protection, no one said anything. Okay, I believe I'll stop there. And I hope you enjoyed it. That was reading 45, Chapter 6, Book 1. Thanks for listening. Till next time, take care and be safe.